Small town feel with big time ideas. After all, you are entitled to Brad's opinion. Here's your host, Brad Allard.
Well, hello. It's been a while since we've been back in the studio. We were gone for a while. I have with us Next Step Women's Center with Magan Swaringen. I still got to keep forgetting to say Hollowell, but how is Mom doing? I know things have been tough.
She's been busy. She's got the winery going and the farm going, and it's pumpkin patch. And
well, she had to.
Yes, she lost her. Yeah, we lost my grandfather, her dad, and I think he was such a good, godly man who loved us well and lived a long life. And it's hard and sad, but there's peace in it. So,
well, yeah, I think he was the same age as my father, and you don't want to think about these kind of things, but I'll have the same opinion. Sad, but knowing where he is will be some comfort. Yeah. And so good. I'm glad to hear she's okay. I know that winery's keeping her busy.
Yes. So, and there's a good regular crew that have taken care of her through it all. So have been there and prayed for her and cared for her. So it's been good for her to have that support.
And we have Josh Miller here today, who also is going to be head of their young men's ministry, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Best thing to call it. I mean, I don't know if it's a formal title, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
For the fathers of a lot of y'all's clients. And that's going to be a new thing. And I think that's really interesting because almost all these type of centers like y'all's for support of these women, I've never heard of one that has this level of support for the young man. So, so that's really, really interesting. And then we have Virginia, the intern over there, who's just too shy. She's
hanging out.
She's just here to make sure.
Takes care of us.
Yeah. So interns, you go get the coffee, go get the donuts. Is that what?
She stuffs a lot of envelopes.
Okay.
She was really excited to come here, so she didn't have to stuff envelopes.
Okay. And also, Josh is sitting in for Taylor, who's I don't know, Josh. Where is Taylor today?
Oh. There we go.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
That's a good question. That's right. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. We'll do just fine and dandy without him. All right. Anyway, so let's talk about the sponsors, and then we'll get back to a normal broadcasting. First of all, thank you, Otto, at our place. I was there this morning with the Sunday school men, and we were bemoaning the State of the Union and the election coming up and all that. And I know y'all were praying about it.
Yes.
Yes, because we don't get into politics with guests, but I have concerns. Yeah. And but anyway, we also talk about football, which is for Baylor is a very depressing topic these days. So, but that's all right. It's just football, right?
Yes.
But anyway, the food was great, service was great. What I like about Otto's place among that is the consistency of it. Is the food is always good and it's always on time and hot, and you have a lot of the same staff, and that's really good. Also, we had this event last Thursday. I would invite y'all to go check it out. We had it at Gina's, and that was a really good episode. It's one of my very favorite. It really, I think, was such a comfortable atmosphere to do that and see all y'all working together and camaraderie and all this, and y'all were, sharing pizzas and whatever else, and it's a great thing for this community.
Yes.
And so, if you haven't seen it, guys, check it out. It's on YouTube. It's on the Facebook archives, which is easy to find. So give that a shot, guys. And, of course, the pizza's always great. So there you go. All right. And also thank you to Wild Cigar. I'll be going to see Nathan pretty soon, probably today. I go by like once a month. We visit so I can kind of keep track of what's going on with what's going on with Wild. They got things going on. They do a lot of stuff related to college football. I know tonight, the Cowboys, they'll be on. So, not that they'll do any good, but
who knows?
Who knows? Are you a football fan, Josh?
I really am. Yeah.
I was going to say, you look at me if you talk football. Just look at Josh.
Yeah. Is Chad a football fan?
He likes to watch it, but he's not Josh is pretty intense.
I love football.
We had a thing where we were out of town, and I was like it was at a Gaylord, and I was like, let's go watch the football game on the big screen. And it was Josh and a bunch of girls, and he tried to tell us sports things, and I tried to smile and nod.
That's all we got.
Yeah.
I think all men know what that smile and nod looks like.
Yeah,
where they're
nod. My wife, it's like, okay, basketball's with the orange round ball. Football is the egg-shaped brown ball.
Right.
Okay. She's
close enough, yeah.
She only time she ever got into sports is when her kids were playing it, and that's about it. It wasn't like It was a big deal to her at all.
Right.
It's all right. I blame her father for that. Also, thank you to our friends at Old Pro Roofing. I was talking to John Williams yesterday, and he's doing a lot of roof inspections because they had some bad weather up in the Frisco Plano area, which is where they do a lot of work in the DFW area. It's not just here in Burleson. And so he had to get up at 3:30 to make the trip over there because, that's the early bird gets the worm routine, right? So call him at 817-734-2756. He'll inspect your roof, and it's really important. He was talking yesterday at our networking group, which Megan sat in.
I got to pop in.
Yeah. How'd you think of it?
It was fun. It's a good group of people, yeah.
Yeah, it is. You caught us really in an unusual situation because of things sometimes happen that you don't plan for. So a lot of our people got in kind of late, so which is unusual. Usually they're on time, but things happen, right?
Oh, for sure.
But what I liked also, I'm getting off. Sorry, John, I'll get you back in a minute. I'm the visitor host. That was my last day of it, actually, and I took a guest out, and she came out with me, and she's like, "Don't sell me anything, all right?" I'm like,
the answer's no.
No. Right. But you must be great when they call you up on the phone. But anyway, but thank you, John. And he also was talking about, and he's talking about a lot about insurance, that if you have damage, you better jump on it right away, because if you wait too long, at like 365 days, I believe is the limit, they'll say it's old damage, and insurance will deny you.
Wow.
And now also the fact is you want to make sure your roof is up to date, because almost all the insurance companies have doubled the premium on roofs. Or not the premium, I'm sorry, the deductible. I get this right, the deductible. So if you have like a $350,000 house or something like that, which in Burleson is the norm, you're talking about at least $7,000 to $8,000 before the insurance kicks in. So if you wait too long, your roof gets that state of disrepair, you're going to be in a real problem. So it's something that people need to be paying attention to. And lastly, Jeff Kelly of Jeff Kelly Realty, he's going to be on in about, it's a Wethington agency, let's be very clear. You got to make sure of the Wethington agency, Jeff, I'll get you. But Jeff is going to be on in about 3 weeks, and we're going to talk about interest rates, and we're going to talk about sales of the houses. I mean, we're still, in Burleson, we're still selling here. I mean, it's, well, you read about it across the country, and they talk about home sales are slowing down.
Yeah, no, we're talking, Josh is in the process.
I'm in the midst of it. It's crazy.
So you're buying a house?
Yeah, and selling simultaneously, so it's really fun.
Do you have an agent?
We do.
I should have got hold of you sooner.
Yeah. I should have brought him a few months ago.
Kelly.
Yes.
Yeah, Jeff Kelly would have set you up just fine. Also, you have a mortgage broker yet? I got some people.
We do. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
We're in the finish line stage.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, dadgummit. Well, my friends at Camco could have helped you out, but that's.
They were great. Everyone who was at BNI was so knowledgeable about their industry.
Yeah,
Very good.
And they're good people. I mean, they really care about each other. One, about 6 months ago, one of our members her mom passed, who'd been ill for a long time. So it was not shocking, but still sad, right? But, and it wasn't like, well, we'll pray for it kind of thing. No, they did, a lot of the members did stuff, food and, flowers. A couple went to the funeral when Camille Bransom's mother died. Camille's kind of an adjunct member with us. I saw 6 or 7 of us there for the viewing at least.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of group. It really, it's more than business. But anyway, back to Jeff. He's actually paying for this. Call him at 817-781-0546 or Jeff at jeffkellyrealty.com. I know he has a couple of houses because I've shared them on my Facebook. I believe he has some acreage, which is what a lot of people are looking for to build and that kind of thing. Where are y'all moving to?
Over there off of Hidden Vistas next to the Chisholm Fields and all that.
So there you go.
Just across town.
Yeah, good. So you're staying in Burleson.
We're staying local, yeah.
And your wife's still staying at Centennial.
Yeah.
Oh, good luck trying to move that girl out of the 76028. Like, it ain't happening.
Well, your mother's here too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, your mom-in-law.
We're stuck.
All right. Well, anyway, thank you, Jeff. I know we kind of stepped all over your ad. I'll mention you again sometime during the show, just at some non sequitur place. But anyway, So let's talk about. First of all, I guess you would talk about the program you got coming up on October 10th, the gala. Why don't you tell us about that, Megan?
Yeah, we're so excited. This year's gala is on October 10th at the DoubleTree Inn by Hilton over off Alta Mesa. It's been a lot of different hotels, but that's where we're having it this time. And last year it was at the same place. It was beautiful. There's a lot of space. The food was good. The gala last year was actually, the reason that Josh is sitting here today, last year's gala, we had a great time. Our theme was rewritten, and we talked about how God can rewrite your story. And our speaker was a man who talked about how important fathers are in the pregnancy decisions. And he told his own story that was really powerful. And we specifically chose him because we knew we were praying towards how can we better reach the fathers who come and see us. And they were, the dads come about half the time, a little less than half the time, and they, were sitting in the waiting room. Well, then we tried to bring them in and have our own conversations with them, but we're just a bunch of ladies, and that got awkward. We give them dad gifts, and we did our best to be kind and loving and show them how important they are. But at the end of the day, we know that guys are going to relate to and respond better to men, and that a man can build a program for a man better than a girl can, and that's okay. And so with all of that, inspired and just pushed forward by our gala last year, we were able to bring Josh on as our men's program director, and I'm excited for him to share with you today about what we have going on for the guys. But we're still doing all the same things that we've done before. In this gala, our speaker is a high-risk OBGYN. And if you want to look him up, you can Google the Pro-Life Doc is his little thing on Instagram. You can find him. He posted a reel the other day about just some of the pertinent things that are being communicated in relation to abortion during this election and and by the abortion industry in general. And I love his. I'm not a doctor. I can read reports and I can read articles, but at the end of the day, he knows what's actually going on, and he has such a important perspective, a highly medical perspective. He teaches med students, and he talks about how a person is a patient. Or a patient is no, I'm never going to get it right. It's like, you'll hear it if you come. But he says a person is a patient, or a patient is a person, no matter how small. And he just talks about some of the surgeries they're able to do in the womb to save lives. And
what's his name again?
Dr. Bill Lyle.
Because it sounds like the OBGYN Robin and I had, of course, 30 years ago. My son's 32 and my daughter's 29. I think his name, Dr. Fight, I think his name was.
Yeah.
And I walked into his office, and he had all these scriptures on the wall, and I said, I'm betting you have an opinion about this. And he was very ardently pro-life.
Yes. Now, Dr. Bill Lyle, he's actually local in Florida. He's still practicing, and I believe he's still teaching. And he only does a limited number of these banquets a year because he prioritizes his practice, and I respect that, and I value that, and we're excited that I booked him out 2 years ago because I wanted him to come and share his message with us. He is energetic and exciting, and I am in no way a high enough level of learner to understand a lot of medical stuff, but I can get what he's saying, if that makes sense. And so I'm excited. It's going to be a great night, bright colors, all the fun, good food, great cake. That matters.
Let's go. Who's catering it?
The hotel is.
The hotel is, okay.
Yes.
We used to have dances there at the high school.
Yes.
And I don't remember if they were during your time there, but I remember about 3 homecoming dances we did at that hotel.
I don't think we did any during my time, but no. I know that was a thing. I know that hotel has had a lot of different seasons of quality, and it is in a really good season. Yeah. The Hilton has taken it to the next level. And
you're right, because it looked like a roadside motel at one time, and then somebody bought it out, and they redid the foyer and the interior, and it's much nicer like 2 years later.
Yes.
And that kind of thing. So we had a good time with it. The only problem is when you do high school dances at a hotel, you got to have somebody standing guard at the elevator.
That's the truth.
Because you don't want kids going up there and watching the cable. That's what they're going to do, of course.
Just watch the cable. That's right. That's all they're going to do there.
And then, anyway, so... But I know that I went to the one 2 years ago, and last year, for whatever reason, you put it on the night I had a class, but this time I don't.
Yeah.
So I'll be there. I'm going to talk to Robin when she gets back from North Carolina, and I always enjoy it. I really do. And I see some old acquaintances, some old students there, like the Bonds.
Yes.
And the Basdens and others. And it's like, it's kind of nice to see y'all involved in such an enterprise. I'm sure Laura will be there.
Yeah, she will. We're excited. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, we'll refer back to this again at the end of the show for
absolutely.
summation. But let's talk to Josh since we drug him away from his hard, difficult job. Now, you have a background in the ministry, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this isn't like you were, out selling,
Right.
flooring
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
So you've had a long history of ministry. So this is just another one.
Yeah. So I was, for the last 9 years, I was at Lifegate Church here in Burleson. And so we loved being in ministry. We loved doing worship, being involved in our community. And last year we came to the gala and with no intention except just to come and support Magan, who's a good friend of ours for a long time, and Laura's brother, who at the time was on staff as well. And so we came and we heard the phrase, if you get the mom, you get the child. And if you get the father, you get the family.
Yeah, that's true.
And so that phrase just kind of stuck in our hearts. And we prayed about, like, Lord, what do you want us to do with this? And at the time, we didn't know what that looked like. And then I think 8 months later, we had called and had a conversation. And we were like, hey, is this something you guys are still pursuing and wanting to do? And they said, actually, we're looking to hire right now. And so we just wanted to be obedient to what we felt like the Lord was laying on our hearts. And so, we didn't stop doing ministry. We just shifted, what the day-to-day of the ministry looked like.
Are you still involved with Lifegate?
I've been back there a couple of times. When you step out, you want to make sure that whoever they're putting back in that place has an opportunity to, do what they need to do without me sitting on the second row and saying, I would do that differently. So.
Well, we're going through that now at First Baptist. We have a opening at our pastor moved to Richardson to be closer to his parents, who was on assisted living and all that. So when Ronnie Marriott left about 3 months ago, we're still in the process of, and it's a long process. It isn't like you just pick up the paper or put an Indeed ad or something like that. So, but it'll work out.
Yeah.
I don't worry about it too much. I've been old enough, been in church long enough to see this happen more than once.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it must have been tough, though, to leave a full-time position at that church and take a leap of faith to jump out in there, because there are maybe some uncertainties maybe about the budgets and stuff like that. Yeah,
I think for us, the big thing was, again, we wanted to be obedient to what the Lord was telling us. But I think just even stepping in, it was like, I've done church ministry for so long. Like, if I were to get another job at another church, it's like, I know what to do. I can start from A and move all the way to Z. But here it's like, I don't know where A is. Like,
nobody knows where A is. We're just trying to build it from the bottom. Yeah.
And so, but what I do know how to do is, like, my biggest, like, ministry goal for my life is, like, I want to see people operate in the fullness of what God has for them. That's legitimate. Like, I've done it through worship. I've done it through church, but now I get to do it through Next Step. And so when men walk in, it's when they come in without hope, without the tools that they need, I want to make sure they're able to operate in the fullness of what God has for them. And so that's just translated into this ministry. So
when they walk in, are they surprised to see you?
Yeah, a lot of times, yeah.
Yeah, because all these centers that we've referred to are they're focused on the mother, as they should be, and they probably, a lot of these young men feel like they're just a bystander, you know, or something like that. And you walk in and they expect a bunch of flowers and bunnies and pink and light blue paint and whatever else, right?
Yeah.
And they see you there.
Yeah.
I guess that must take them aback a little bit.
A little bit. And we take them to a spot where it's, we have dark leather and, we're not like going in a place where there's lots of pinks and purples and, frillies all over the place. And we're having real conversations that says we not only value the life of your significant other and the baby, we care about you. And we're not just saying, best of luck to you. We want to make sure we're giving you tools and equipping you not only with education, but also with community is something we're trying to do as well, so that they know they're not alone in this process that a lot of them are surprised about. Most of the people who are coming in to see us are not like, oh yeah, we were planning for this for years. They were like, it's taken them off guard. And so when we can alleviate fear and we can see hopelessness and have hope brought into those situations, it's
interesting because I've talked with Magan and Summer many times on this show. And they talk about just the anxiety levels that these people are facing. There must be a great deal of comfort, particularly for the young man who basically, I could just imagine this may have all taken him by surprise or whatever, or unplanned, and he's thinking, I got no one really to talk to about these things. I don't have anybody to express them. Now, I also know about Next Step is that it being a strongly faith-based center, they let the clients direct the conversation.
Yeah.
And that's you too,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So if you have a young man who comes in and says, well, we'll talk, but I'm not really, that religious or whatever.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of accommodate that, right?
Yeah. So I think the thing, and honestly, that was a shift, right? Like when you are in church ministry, people are signing up to hear about the gospel every single time they walk in.
Right.
But I think what I've realized is like in the harvest process, where the Bible says like the harvest is plentiful for the workers are few, is that there's stages in that harvest process. And I think a lot of times at Next Step, we are the planters. Like we're the people who are planting that seed in. And when I talk to somebody, even though they're saying, hey, I'm not open to a faith-based conversation, that because I am who I am, like that stuff's just going to pour out. Like I have, values and things that are just going to come out naturally. And so being able to have those conversations, a lot of times they'll even start out saying, no, I don't want to have a conversation about that. And they'll end up saying, actually, could we have somebody pray with us? That'd be great. And so, but it's just having those conversations, being authentic, allowing them to come in where they're at. Cause that's what Jesus did. He came in and allowed them to be, he didn't have like this, come to me once you have everything fixed up. He's like, come to me as you are, and then I'll like take you on a journey. And I think that's what we're trying to do with them.
Well, I'm sure these young men have their guard up because they probably think they're going to walk into a center like Next Step.
Yeah.
And it's
judgment.
And how could you do this? Didn't how foolish you were, or they're going to feel condemned.
Yeah.
Because probably they're in their own hearts having a lot of self-condemnation about what's going on. And so they're probably really, really anxious. I mean, I could, in other aspects, not just with what y'all do, but I've talked to a couple of people who need counseling, and I always refer to them to promises, right? And they said, well, I want real counseling. I'm like, well, it is real counseling. I mean, they got certificates and everything from the state of Texas, but they're reluctant to go into a faith-based institution because they think they're going to be hammered with scripture and guilt and, it says in Galatians, how dare you, and whatever, those darn Galatians, they never learn. But, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you'll have this program where basically they call the shots. All right?
Yeah.
And, it's a good thing. I bet you're right. I bet a lot of them, once they realize they're not going to be hit with a bunch of scripture and guilt and made to feel guilt, remorse and whatever else, they say, okay, I wouldn't mind a prayer or two because a lot of these guys are probably scared to death.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's just something like when you have conversations with people who aren't necessarily, believers, it's like I can't hold them to my moral compass and my moral standard. It's like I have to meet them where they're at. Do I want them to? Yes, of course. I believe that Jesus is, the way, the truth, and the life, but I can't expect them just to be where I am the moment they walk into the room and be like, how dare you not be where I am? It's, well, how can we get you? Because that really is the ultimate way that we want them to get to, but not in a manipulative way. We're not trying to like coerce them. We want to, again, meet them where they're at. And if all we can do is get them some tools in their hands to better equip them to be fathers and men in their families, then that's a win. Like even if we don't have this like huge revelatory, spiritual awakening, if we can still strengthen the family, like that's, I feel, a huge win for Next Step.
And see, that's always been something I've advocated about Next Step is that it is faith-based, but you're going to let the clients take it the direction that they want to take towards this issue. And Megan and I have talked about this on the air, how both of us get rather indignant about the public attitude that some people have that basically I'll drag these kids in and try to force them to become Christian or something like that. And it's nothing could be further from the truth. But that's the media for you and certain politicians for you and that kind of thing. But as far as these young men, so walk me through the process, okay? Megan, most young ladies come by themselves at first, right?
Yes.
Right.
I think that, I wish I would have looked up the number of how many come that first time, but I think that there's a good number that are going to come all alone, but there is a handful where there's a man who is dedicated to show up for her. And this goes whether it's probably more when they're likely to, when they want to have a baby, or when they're okay with it. They're just trying to figure it out. But there are even some who are like, no, I think we're going to choose to have an abortion, but he's still going to come because he cares about her. And so it is probably mostly alone the first time, but we do have a high rate of people, higher compared to other pregnancy centers. We have a higher rate of people who bring their significant other on that first abortion.
Well, that must be because you made it quite clear that you have something for them. And
we try to.
Well,
for
yeah.
Sure.
Well, we've been talking about this for a while about the parenting classes and how you've been encouraging them to bring the fathers in and things of that nature. And I just assumed, most of them, these young ladies, come by themselves. Mm-hmm. And we say young ladies, you've also opened my mind that it's not just, teenage pregnancies. It's older women too. And some of these men are probably in their 30s, right?
I've had, since I've been there, the youngest I've had is 14. The oldest I've had is 49.
49 and 14.
Yeah.
Oh, poor kid. 14.
That poor kid. Yeah, that's right.
I feel sorry for him. I really do, because, we all knew kids in high school that had this happen to them. It happened back in the 70s. It wasn't something that was invented last year. And, when I was teaching, I had over at BHS, particularly in the 90s, I had not a lot, that's a great exaggeration, about a dozen over a decade of young mothers. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they bring the kids to class. And then BISD kind of started accommodating that a bit more with, specialized programs. So I didn't see it quite as often. But I remember the valedictorian of 1995 had a 1-year-old child, and now she's a leading oncologist. So she was quite...
You can have your baby and your dreams.
Yeah,
that's
right.
one of the things we always say. You can do it all.
Yeah. Her name was... I don't want to say her name. All right, y'all can look it up. But she's...
Fair enough.
Yeah,
we don't have to talk.
Right.
I'm
but
with
she
you.
was... But these young men, a lot of these young men, though, it's primarily young men, I'd imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
They're probably scared to death because, you and I are both fathers, and even though we had the setup, we had stability, we had a married relationship and a home and jobs and all this business, it's still sobering. I'm sure Chad will tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's like, whoa, I'm going to be a father.
Yeah.
And that means a lot of things are going to be different. And
I think that the stressors are different for her and for him, but there are still stressors on both sides.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love it when I hear stories about people who had an unplanned pregnancy and still were able to do the thing, because that's a huge part of, I think it's so limiting whenever society says, well, you had a baby, your life's over. No one's life is over. Like, you still, what you do is up to you, and you can totally have your baby and have your dreams. You can totally keep going. There's especially these days. And so, so I know that I totally went off topic because I was man, fine. I love that. I love it when we see it happen.
I know another
I
one.
get excited.
Yeah. I have a friend on Facebook, a former student, and she has a child by herself, and she has her own business, and it's doing well.
You can do it.
Photography business, and so there, I think the world of those kind of people. In my era, and maybe a little bit prior to that, when a girl got pregnant young, let's put it off to the side here, because we don't want them to, we don't want them to embarrass us or whatever else. Now, I it's like, okay, this happened. Let's not dump on them. Let's
keep
support
going.
them.
And it is up to us as a community and as the church. I think the church historically has been like, oh, you're pregnant, shame. But if our churches and Next Step and our community and our schools have done a great job of providing avenues for young moms. If we can go, you know what? Let's keep going. Like, how can we support you? Can we babysit? Can we build you up in faith? Or can we provide, what resources can we do so that we can do this together and you can be successful in this? Because it matters. It matters that single moms have support. It matters that both parents, young parents, old parents, parents who don't have it all together, because no parent really has it all together, has the support that they need to raise good people, so that our community can be stronger and healthier. If we can just show up well for all of those people, because you can do it. The individual can do it.
Well, and I've said this on the air before, but when I started teaching high school in 1990, I had certain attitudes. With very, very, very quickly, within 3 or 4 years, a lot of those attitudes changed because, it's one thing to think about it in the abstract, but when it's sitting there in front of you,
Yeah.
it's a lot different deal.
Yeah.
And you realize that there are human beings involved in these attitudes. And so my attitude changed about that quite a bit. And it's like, okay, this happened. And maybe 15 years or prior to that, like in the 70s, I would have said, oh, that girl's probably one of those, and that kind of thing, a bad girl or whatnot. Of course, we'd never give the guy any trash about it. They always got off scot-free, it seemed like. But as far as now, after like dealing with high school kids for like 2 or 3 years, I thought, these are real stories. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the hard edges of one's thinking and ideology was kind of shaved off a bit. And
and
I would encourage them once they said, we're going to have this child, I'd encourage them, good for you, great. Yeah. You're going to love it. There'll be tough days, but you're going to love it.
Yeah.
And all this. So and I'm glad that young men have somebody like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, even for him. For her, like, your life's not over. And for him, your life's not over. You can still, the amount of online educational resources and possibilities are crazy these days. There's so much you can do to support a family, to push yourself to the next level. And there's so many resources for parents from the government, even like the grants and scholarships and everything are there's a way to do it. And I think that while we do our best to present every resource to them, for our dads, like, I know that they come in going, I don't know what she needs. When I met with them, there was one guy who asked me if I could pray for their mental health. And I was like, okay, of course I can pray for your mental health. What does that mean to you? And he went on, he was like, well, I just, sometimes she's real happy and sometimes she's real upset and I don't know how to help her. And I was like,
she's pregnant, bro.
I was like, that's normal.
Welcome
I'm
to
sorry
fatherhood.
to tell you that's normal, but it is. But
it's not a mental health issue.
It's more hormonal, but I'm with you. So, but you never, they needed someone to go, it's kind of the season she's in, and this is what's happening in her body, and we'll pray for peace in the household. But
that reminds me of a funny story. When Robin was first pregnant with Hayden, she was about 8 months or so, and one of the our songs, when you're young and romantic, you have our song. Yours is probably "How Great Thou Art," I'm sure. But, you and Chad's song,
but probably something like that.
But mine was Van Morrison's "Brown Eyed Girl." All right, all right, and there's a line in there, just saw you says the other day, my, how you have grown. And I was singing it to her. She burst into tears. She just started bawling. I'm like, I thought I was being sweet and romantic.
And she's
and
like,
but I'm so bad. So it cracked me up because it's like I was trying to be, sweet and ended up, okay, I stepped into that one.
Yep.
So, but walk me through the process, okay? A young man comes in, says, I'm going to be a father.
Yeah.
Take it from there.
So the first thing I know it may sound silly and redundant, but our first question that we ask them, like, what brings you in today? Like, because that same thing, it could be, yes, we know it's because your girl is pregnant. Like, we know that. But for them, we want to open up, hey, are you okay with this? Like, just it really gauges their temperature. And so we bring them in, we ask them why they're here. We let them know why we're there. Like, we want you to know we're here for resources. We're here to be a helping hand. We're here to build community with you. And we let them know what's going on in the other room. So that way they don't feel this, like you said, there's this little bit of, well, you're bringing me back. Why are you doing that? And we want them to know, hey, we're bringing you together for all the important moments. But then we're just giving them the information. We're like, hey, here's, if the guy is ready to be a dad and he's excited, we're like, well, let's walk you through what fatherhood looks like. Like, here's some classes we have that we can offer you. Here's some community events that Next Step offers. That way you can build community with dads who are in the same stage of life that you are. Because a lot of these guys, there's not a lot of, 16, 17, 18-year-old guys that are like, hey, I'm about to have a baby. So we want to create a room where, hey, there's other guys who are in the same walk of life that I am, so they can have community and do that. And then we make sure that I give them my card, because I think a lot of time guys come in and we're like, hey, you have any questions that I can answer for you? No, I don't have any questions. We're good. We're like, well, here's my card because I know you will, just because we all do. Yeah. But in the moment, you're probably overwhelmed by them. And my inbox is like flooded with guys who are like, hey, I thought of something. I knew you would. And that's why we give that. And we just want to make sure we're a resource and available to walk with them as much as they're willing to let us in. I mean, we don't want to shove our stuff on them, but if we want them to know that we're available any step that we can. So
wouldn't most of your participants in this program be first-time fathers?
Most of them are.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about that 49-year-old. He's probably had children before.
He was definitely in a different stage of life.
Yeah,
that's for
right.
sure. Yeah.
So most of the people that take part in these classes and these group activities or whatnot, they're probably, what I would guess,
the majority is late teens, mid 20s.
Yeah, right.
Mid-20s.
I mean, I'm just trying to think if like somebody comes in there and they've already been a father 2 or 3 times before.
Yeah,
because I mean, not every one of these are unwed pregnancies, right?
No,
some of these are wedded situations, right?
Yes,
and they just needed help.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is like we're a crisis pregnancy center, you know, because they are in a crisis in some aspect, whether it's financially, emotionally, whatever is going on. And so, but some of them are just, you know, they don't have the insurance, they don't have whatever it is, and we just want to make sure we're a resource to help them get to their next stage. So
we do provide proof of pregnancy, which is required for her to get on Medicaid, and some insurance required and things like that. So if there is sometimes we do have married people who are coming just to get that piece. Or a doctor has said, well, go get your pregnancy confirmed through Next Step. And so they'll come see us first.
Right. You know, and even though you direct them towards Medicaid, you don't get it for them. You tell them how to get it. Right?
Yes. We do during different seasons when the resources are available, we have people who will come in and we will schedule for them to be walked through the application process.
Which is probably a beating, you know, if it's with the government.
It will.
Yeah.
It's I think the last person who was consistently coming in was provided by Cooks for us for a while. And she would just do that. So signing up for any program is tough.
Well, I guess on a side note, if somebody hears this or knows if somebody needs Medicaid for this situation, what would they need to bring with them? They can't just come like and say, I need some Medicaid. I mean,
you're right. What we typically do in order for you to schedule a Medicaid appointment, you need to first do your pregnancy test through us. And when you're in that appointment, they're going to ask you, do you need Medicaid? Do you need help signing up for Medicaid? And then they'll sign you up for an appointment, and you'll get a brochure that has all the things you need. The list, like I see the list in my head, but I could not tell you everything that's on it because you need like a bunch of forms of identification. Right. You need pay stubs and tax information and proof of residency.
Yeah. Right.
You need a lot of those those documents.
Well, I know it can be a hassle, but I guess it's necessary. I suppose.
It is absolutely necessary, and it's a huge blessing to parents who. I mean, it's expensive to have it. It is expensive to have a baby. It's expensive to go to the doctor. It's expensive to go to the hospital, and Medicaid is a huge blessing if you can benefit from those resources.
Absolutely.
Now, I guess the content of these seminars, group outings, classes. What do y'all talk about?
So our classes. So for me, I just hit 3 months on the job. And so for me, most of what I've done so far is like just learning the client intake. You know what I mean? Like having those client meetings. And so in October, actually, we're launching our first dad night, which is we really just want to have a meeting where dads can come, like we talked about, just that community aspect. But hopefully in the first of 2025 in the spring, we're launching our Dr. Dad series, which really goes into fatherhood and like not just the ins and out of like the prenatal classes, which we offer and are very informative, and all first-time dads should take those.
Yes, absolutely.
But we want to do more than just, hey, here's what to expect while she's pregnant. It's like, hey, they're targeted at fathers to not just be support the mom, and we want to advocate for that, but also here's how you can be a dad. Yeah.
They don't really have those lessons. I know in school they have family life or family living classes. I remember Mrs. Friels taught them. Did you have her as a teacher?
I remember her. I didn't have her.
Or Mrs. McNair, or Holdridge, now McNair. She taught those kind of courses. Miss Bruce, Loretta Bruce, Shanna Clark. They all taught those courses.
I remember the class. I don't remember who my teacher was.
Yeah, which, and I took it, 1978 or 79. and all this other stuff. But it's a lot. It's one thing to, okay, yeah, sure, I'm going to carry on this sack of flour for a week, and then pretend it's a baby. And then, but it's another thing altogether when it's really happening. And I'm sure they have no idea, and you and I didn't have any real idea. Maybe we could look at our own fathers or peers for some assistance, but how to get through it. But it's a learning experience.
Yeah.
I learned how to test the bottle on my forearm, make sure it's not too hard.
Right.
And I learned how to change diapers.
Yeah.
And
now, if you do it, you have to do it differently for boys and girls too. So it's wild. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it used to drive me crazy. I'm going to embarrass both my children. It's like you sit there and you change the diaper. I did it. Now I got to change it again.
Yep.
So, but speaking of diapers, this is another off topic, non sequitur. How y'all doing in that regard? Because I know you'll go through a bunch.
We do. We always need diapers. We've given a lot away. There's a big need, and we tried to do we did an extra push in August to get extra diapers to families who need them. And we're always needing new diapers. We're always needing diapers.
Well, as any parent can tell you, you'll go through a bunch.
You can never have
a little
enough,
bitty.
yeah.
You go through a pack of Huggies a day practically.
Yes.
Seems like
That's wild,
yeah. And Lord, if you had twins, I don't even want to think about that. That kind of thing. I have one of my former students, Emily Camp, has triplets. I could,
Yes.
and they're older now, of course, but when they were first born,
watching her on Facebook was like, oh, she's got a whole busy life
right?
going.
Yeah, it's really funny for us to watch, but it must have been stressful, I'm sure,
I can imagine.
because you just probably assembly line diaper changing. Okay, just roll by.
Yeah.
It'd be like Lucy and Ethel in that candy scene.
Yes.
Just trying to keep up. But anyway, so. You said it on the show last Thursday. Y'all need a TV. Is that right? So to watch the ball game or what?
Yeah. So our community, if we're being honest, if we want to say exactly what it's about.
Whatever it takes, right?
Yeah. Well, again, we want these dads to come in, and men, I think, are naturally more community driven. Like when we're not going to be like, hey, let's do this book study together, guys.
Let's talk about our feelings.
Your typical guy's not going to come to that. But if we say, hey, we got food, we got a game on. And then
I was just joking. It really is.
I know. I was going to say Josh was kidding. Josh was kidding.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, here's the thing. So we are doing that, but we also have mentors coming in, and they're going to have conversations. And so guys are not going to come, again, like you said, to talk about their feelings. They will come to that. And while they're doing that, we're building community.
But
we're strengthening
let me
them,
say, for more than just the men's
it's not just
event,
for the game.
The TV will go in our classroom, which is used for all of our prenatal classes, all of our training. This TV is used for everything. And the one we currently have, I believe, is more than 10 years old. It has no streaming capabilities. We're connecting through a HDMI cord.
Yeah, that hangs down on the wall. And,
the picture's not great. And we've just been dealing with it. But Josh is like, if we want men to come and watch a video, they're not going to watch this grainy video. And building on some of these other things. And so it's fair.
Yeah. The game is the catalyst. It's not like this is why I'm buying.
No. I've been to hundreds of church functions where something non-church related was offered, but we're going to have some church too.
Yeah.
It's like men's softball. My father-in-law is a retired preacher, and he said there's no bad reason to go to church. He said, what if I'm just there to play softball and meet girls? Well, I'd rather meet girls and play softball here than, do it at some bar or some beer league or whatever.
Yep.
So no bad reason. So if you have the ball game on and it is a way of we're not trying to sneak something in or whatever,
exactly
but it's a way of breaking down certain barriers and then make you more willing.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think that's the goal is if we can, that's the means by which they want to come, then great. And we're, again, like I said, there's no definitive A, right? Like I said when I was coming out, I don't think I know where A is, and so we're just trying. We're going to see how this goes, and we have guys that are signed up that are coming, and they want to come and be a part, and we have mentors that are ready to come and pour in a little bit, and so that's what we're going to try. And we know that a football game and food might not be the way we get everybody, but it might be a way to get some people who we might not get any other way. And so
a lot of these, I could tell you though, when from my experience as a teacher, that once a young man becomes, going to be a father, he becomes more isolated because a lot of his buddies, they're running around doing this stuff and having a good time, and he's like, well, I got to go work extra hours, or I got to do it, got to do this with my girlfriend or whatnot, and so they don't have as many social life if they're serious about being a father,
Right.
They're going to take it pretty seriously, and they're not going to be able to run around on the weekends as much as they used to, maybe.
Right.
So they may not have chances to watch a ball game with other guys.
Yeah, exactly right.
And that kind of thing.
And even then, a lot of times the guys that they were going to watch a game with or go do whatever thing with aren't the people who are going to help them be who they need to be in this season.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Well, I can give you a TV brand. We bought a Vizio, and it's I would advise that one. It's affordable, and it has all the download capabilities you want. And we have YouTube TV, which, I don't know how much, the downside of YouTube TV is that it gets Hallmark channels, and that's all I get in my house.
That's all Megan needs. Is Hallmark.
I mean,
a Hallmark channel.
Serious.
Yeah, that and she also likes those DIY shows.
Yes. Well, if anyone wants to drop a TV by, we'll take it. But the one he had one picked out that was about $380. So it's not that expensive.
Oh, TVs for that size, like 65-inch, right?
It was 65.
Yeah, I've seen them at Sam's. They're about $380, $370.
Yeah, so
it's not as expensive as they used to be at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how about that?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so if somebody just wants to drop by a TV, now if you had 2 or 3 TVs, what would you do? Maybe auction them off at your gala, right?
It's not a bad idea.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Put a ticket in there, something like that. But I really like this idea that you have, though, because I don't know. I just know from my experience, the young men involved really felt like they had no one to talk to, and they really felt like, not they were jealous or anything, but all the attention's going to the mother. And it felt like, I got needs as well,
Yeah.
But a lot of these guys are too, you know how men are. They're not going to admit that, and all this other stuff, their vulnerabilities and stuff, things like that. So they felt pretty isolated. I'm glad that y'all do this.
Yeah. One of the things I tell the guys, again, when I hand them my card and I'm like, hey, here, if that question pops up, which a lot of times it does, but also I tell them, hey, at some point you're gonna freak out. Welcome to fatherhood. It's going to happen, but you can't really share that freak out with the mom because she's experiencing freak outs hour by hour. But if you need a spot to freak out, I'm sorry, my wife is listening. It's going to be great talk when we get home. But you know what I mean? We can't really share hey, I'm experiencing the depth of this emotion. Sometimes you just need a safe place where it's no, bro, you're in the right place. Welcome to fatherhood. Everything's going to be okay without me judging you and being oh, you're not equipped to be a father at all. It's no, you're having a moment, and every dad has that moment.
Anybody equipped to be a father? Really?
Probably not.
I'm just saying. It's just there's no really any training manual on this. It's just here you are, get after it. And I don't remember freaking out when my kids were born. I do remember both of mine were C-section. One was planned, one was not. But with Hayden, it was unplanned. But I felt peace about it because I really felt like he was in God's hands and all that. But not everybody has that to fall back on. I could just imagine some poor kid or young man going through this. Because Robin had, I wouldn't say a troubled pregnancy, but she had to go to bed rest the last 3 weeks. Yeah. All right. And so they said, you're going to have your son on this date. And they did the inducement and all that, wasn't coming. And then so they said, we're going to get it,
Yeah.
And with Sarah, 3 years later, they said, you're going to have a child by noon on May 1st. And that's exactly what happened. Yep. They just didn't even bother. And she also had some issues, gestational diabetes and that kind of stuff. I'm sure you know all these things.
Absolutely.
What is that one about the bed rest? I forget what they call it, but it basically... she couldn't be as active as she could be.
Yeah.
And Robin, like I said, last 3 weeks was in bed the whole time.
Yeah. There's a lot of different things, and we try to make sure that our clients have the list of warning signs, and our nurses have conversations with them to answer any of those questions, because those things are surprising. And in the information that we give them, there's information on what a C-section is and what that will look like. And so we do try to prepare them for whatever may come, because My first pregnancy, I had a cesarean that wasn't planned. The rest were all planned, which I love that. Please give me the date and time for anything you want me to show up to. But I get it. I get it. We both were the same. Like, the Lord's going to take care of it. And we had that peace, but I can't imagine of how we would have felt if we didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
You never know. And you hear these horror stories about what could happen, but we were fortunate. We were at Harris Hospital. Everything was taken care of. It's all good.
Yeah.
But it's, as far as kind of sum this up, how does one get in contact with you?
So my email is, I can give that out on the air if I need to.
Well, you have some paper there.
Yeah, this is my stats and stuff like that
okay.
that we just have that I printed out for today.
All right. Let's see. I want to read these stats before you do all
No,
this.
go for it,
Without fathers in the home, children are 4 times more likely to be in poverty, 2 times greater risk for infant mortality, 7 times more likely to become pregnant as a teen, 2 times more likely to drop out of school. We're talking about the kids that are born.
The kids that are born in
Okay.
in a
Right.
single mother
I
home.
guess
Yeah.
I didn't really specify that. We're talking about what happens without the father in the home. This is what could happen to the children, and
Yeah.
so 4 times likely to be in poverty caught my attention.
Yeah.
They're 2 times more likely to drop out of school, 20 times more likely to be involved in physical abuse. 57% of men in our prison systems have no father figure. Okay, and so, yeah, that's true with that.
Yeah.
That's the thing is that I've always thought too many young men, make babies then make tracks, and that's just not right.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand that mentality. You and I both could never conceive of doing something like that, right? And so there you go.
Yeah, and so maybe we can put my email as a link or something like that.
Well,
but
she could do
I'm
it.
putting it in the comments.
She knows.
Yeah.
She's an old expert at
yeah,
this.
she's got it. But no, I'd love even like fathers who are just listening. Like we'd love to have conversations and help out in any way we can. We want to be again a resource. But with that's one of the when I started doing research about even coming in, those stats like really stuck out to me because I am a stat guy. I love sports, so I love stats. And so when fathers show up, kids are more likely to succeed. And so that's, just what we want to convey to our dads who are coming in. And we just want to be a part of their lives in any way we can.
So while Megan's putting in the contact information, I know enough about next step that once the child is born, that's not the end of the story.
No.
For the father either.
Yeah.
Up to 2 years, I believe, right? That 2 years, and the child turns 2. Basically, you graduate them, right?
Yeah, we're with them until 36 months, till they turn. Actually, it's till they turn 3. When they turn 3, our services you kind of graduate from our program.
Yeah.
Do you need male mentors, counselors, things of that nature?
Yeah. So during the day, right now we have one who just started, which is really great. So now we have 2 male volunteers who are meeting with clients during the day, and that's probably our biggest need because we want to make sure that we are able to not only meet with them on a practical level, but also have somebody meet with them spiritually, if possible. But right now, male advocates during the day is probably our primary need.
What would you want a male advocate, a male counselor to bring with them in a sense? I mean, a lot of people say, I want to help, but there's certain tools and skills you probably need from them.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think if you want to picture a guy, it's honestly just somebody who is willing to be authentically themselves. I think we want to think that we have to be somebody who is like, I'm in with all this stuff. I know all the things that are going on in society and all that, but I think that's where we can lose people if we're trying to make sure we're trying so hard to make sure I want to be hip. I want to be cool. I just said hip. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so old.
You're not hip.
I'm not hip at all.
I can dig it. Don't worry.
Come on now. There we go. But I think it's just people like one of our volunteers is 68 years old, and he's meeting with 16, 17, 18-year-old guys.
Retired from Lockheed Martin. Just loves Jesus and loves people.
Shout out to Kirby.
Well,
He's awesome.
When I was a younger man, not so much in high school, but towards the end of my high school year and in my college years, I went to a very young church in a sense. We had very few members over the age of 50. Most of the membership, I believe, were family-aged men. And so we didn't have those kind of guys, like a 68-year-old guy who's been around the block a few times and probably seen some hard times and things like that, and had that depth of experience and understanding maturity.
Yeah.
I always did miss that, and so, it's a good thing to have.
Yeah. And I think so. Yeah, when we're looking for our male advocates, it's really just guys who are authentically themselves and are just, they see a need and they want to fill it. You know what I mean? So if they can come in and just say, "Hey, I see where you're at, and I just want to meet you where you are, and here's some tools we can put in your hands to help you out," and just be authentically yourself. I'm not asking Kirby, our 68-year-old guy, to know all the lingo of the 16-year-old who just walked through the door. Like he's not going to connect like on that level, but he is going to connect saying, "Hey, I'm a dad. I've been where you've been, and there's hope." And I think that's, if you can come in and just let guys know there's hope, that means way more than connecting with them on a cultural level.
You're right about the authenticity, because I never tried to be like hip and cool with the students, because they said, no, forget it. You don't even know what that word means. And so it didn't come off right. It came off as phony.
Right.
Or I was trying too hard to ingratiate myself to them. Just be yourself. And because that 16-year-old kid is not looking for a 68-year-old hipster dude. He's looking for somebody that's been, got some understanding what's going on.
Yeah.
But they don't have to have like experience in counseling and things of that nature.
No, we'll train you. We got you. Just people who are willing, able, and again, authentically themselves. We'll take care. We'll help you take care of the rest. So,
well, we're almost out of time. So, Megan, tell us again about the gala. What can people do to attend, and where to find all the information they need?
Yes, if you are interested in the gala, it is Thursday, October 10th. Doors open at 6. I have put my email in the comments here. You can also go to nextstepheroes.com and click to the events page and click to the gala, and you can look into getting more information or register there. But we would love to have you. It's going to be a great night.
But any cost to the tickets or whatnot?
No, our event is sponsored by, if I try to list them all right now, I would miss somebody and it would be sad.
Right.
But we have a good number of companies in town that if you come, and if you watch our social media, Next Step WC Heroes on Instagram, Next Step Women's Center Heroes on Facebook, you'll see our posts shouting out to them soon. But we have a good number of people who've covered the cost of the event. So you guys can come, you can eat, you can learn, you can get excited. And then whatever's given that night is going to go directly to programs.
Sure, right. It's like that very morning I'll be at the Burleson Opportunity Fund breakfast.
Yes.
Doesn't cost a thing to go, but there'll be an
They're going to ask you for money. Yeah. We're going to ask you for money.
Yeah, we hired Guido and Rocco to come by and say, "How much do we put you down for?" Big guys. That's how you do it. You shake them down that way. He said, no, we're going to add a 0 to that, buddy. So, no, it's the same thing. It's, but I think everybody knows that if they go to these kind of things, there's going to be an ask. I mean, that's not, that's to be expected.
Yeah, on all of our invitations, which I meant to have a slide, but I didn't. But it all says Giving Gala. We want to make it clear.
Yeah. Oh, well.
There's no cost to come, but we are going to ask you for something.
Well, like I said, you go to these things, you know why you're going. It's not like, I didn't feel like cooking tonight, so I might as well go see what they got going on,
Yeah.
So, but I'm looking forward to it. I was sad I missed it last time, because 2 years ago, we had it at the James Place.
Yes.
On
that was a good
Wilshire.
night. That speaker talked, he had a illustration where he talked about Hallmark movies. Yeah. And Mr. Allard the whole night was turning to Robin going, but did that really happen in that one?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like, is
that really it? And then he rolls his eyes real big.
It just wears me out. My wife is a big Lacey Chabert fan. So I know the names. See, that's how bad it is. I know the names of the actors and actresses now.
She was on Mean Girls. Josh.
Yeah.
Are you up to date on this?
I'm not.
Well, thank you all. Thank you all to the sponsors for what they've done. And I'm going to say thank you to Jeff Kelly at the Withington Agency, because I kind of stepped all over his ad. So, but that's at a good time. And see what I got going on next week. I know I have Melissa Mathis. I'm sure Brooke Mathis will come as well for the Brew Fest, which
is always a fun time.
Yes.
I mean, I don't drink anything, but the music is great.
Come on now. Yeah.
I'll go for live music at the Plaza any day.
Well, I've been to it before, and it's not like when they say Brew Fest, people understand decorum is expected, that kind of thing. It's not, you're basically sampling and whatever else.
Yeah. No, I went last year because Josh Weathers was playing, and I like Josh Weathers. And it was a good night. I didn't feel like it was too much of
No, it's nothing like
anything.
that
It was
at all.
a nice night.
It's nothing like that. And they do a really good job. The Mathis ladies really do a really good job with that. And also, Debbie Beeman over at Promises will be Thursday.
That's fun. They're great.
Yes, I always enjoyed talking with her because, it's something I'm affiliated with the church and all that. And I have a couple of friends in Sunday school that work for Promises, and they got some stories. Similar to y'all's, I bet. Well, thank y'all for coming. I look forward to the gala in about 2.5 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
It's coming soon.
Yeah, you're an old hand at this. I bet the first one you put on you fretted, but now it's like
I did.
No big deal.
I did. Now I've got the system. It's a little more peaceful at the office for me right now.
No, well, I know I feel your pain as somebody put on 11 homecoming parades. I could tell you, it's the night before you're thinking, what if we have an earthquake or something unexpected. Sherry Scott says hello, thank you, great show, and I really appreciate what she does with the blessing boxes.
Yes.
All right, I hope it's all been resolved. I know they had she was part of the last city council meeting, so I haven't seen the results yet, but Sherry does wonderful work. Now that's a true ministry, it really is. Thank y'all for what you do and for coming by, and we'll see y'all. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Virginia, the intern over there. Barely could get a word in around her, but all right. So, and we'll see y'all next week.